Tonight, President Trump's momentous unifying address receiving widespread praise, and needless to say, the radical left, their friends in the hate Trump media, they're not too happy tonight. Wait till we show you the reaction and their analysis to the president's pivotal speech. And we have major breaking developments tonight surrounding Robert Mueller himself investigating the investigator. Shocking news also for the Democratic Party and what is going on in Virginia. First, it began with Governor Ralph Northam's support of the grotesque brutality of infanticide when he advocated for a law where even when a baby is delivered, living on its own, that he or she would be kept comfortable, and then the mother alone would still have the right to choose to deny the needed medical care to save a human soul, the essence of innocence. Then the Democratic governor, Ralph Northam, then he faced bipartisan calls to resign, but not for the cruelty and evil support of infanticide, but over another big controversy, his racist yearbook photo, which featured under his name in his medical school yearbook. But after first apologizing for the photo of the Klansman in blackface, well, then Northam then denied he was in the picture at all. And then a really bizarre press conference admitted to, well, I dressed up in blackface during a separate instance and almost reenacted Michael Jackson's moonwalk before his wife thankfully stepped in, citing the inappropriate circumstances. Then a short time later, Northam's soon-to-be so-called replacement, the lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax, well, he found himself now embroiled in a massive Democratic Party scandal. This is now going up to the upper echelons of the Democrats, both locally and nationally. And earlier this week, a college professor named Vanessa Tyson came forward with serious allegations of violent sexual assault by Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. Now, this dates back to 2004, the Democratic National Convention in Boston. Now, viewer warning, what you're about to see is extremely graphic. In a detailed statement, Tyson claimed, quote, "As I cried and gagged, Mr. Fairfax forced me to perform oral sex on him. I cannot believe, given my obvious distress, that Mr. Fairfax thought this forced sexual act was consensual. Mr. Fairfax has tried to brand me as a liar to a national audience in service to his political ambitions and has threatened litigation. And given his false assertions, I am compelled to make clear what happened." NBC News tonight reporting this, that the lieutenant governor, Fairfax, himself responding to the allegations in a private meeting, he actually said, they quote him, "F that B." Okay, in case kids are watching. Now, this just happened this week. And while his office denied the remarks, the lieutenant governor is calling that encounter consensual. Now, on this show, we're going to be consistent. Unlike most TV shows and hosts, we firmly believe in the process, due process, the presumption of innocence, the very thing the Democratic Party always denies to any Republican or anyone that is conservative. Now, let's not ever forget what they did to Justice Kavanaugh. Democrats believe in guilt by accusation, no trials, no juries, just a court of public opinion. And for Democrats, accusations are disqualifiers for public office. And these charges against Fairfax are beyond serious. And unlike the Kavanaugh accusations, well, in the case of Fairfax accuser, well, they actually recount a specific time, date, and location. And over the years, Tyson even confided with close friends about this incident and what happened. So the big question now for the Democratic Party is, will they demand that Lieutenant Governor Fairfax resign? And where are all those Democrats who said they believe, well, the now debunked accusers in the Kavanaugh case? Here to refresh your memory, look at this.
Not only do women like Dr. Ford, who bravely comes forward, need to be heard, but they need to be believed. They need to be believed. I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing.
Let me just say right at the outset, I believe Dr. Ford. I believe the survivor here.
I believe her. I stand with her. And
do you hope she shows up on Monday? Do you hope that she testifies?
I don't think she should be bullied into this scenario.
I believe her.
I believe Professor Ford. I think she's credible.
All right, so where's Kamala Harris tonight? Where's Spartacus, Cory Booker? Where is Elizabeth Warren, who is in more trouble herself after claiming Indian heritage that she never had, Native American heritage? Where's Kirsten Gillibrand? Do they believe this accuser? Do they stand with all survivors of sexual abuse, or only when it's made against a Republican or a conservative? Is it just about politics, not about the cause? Because breaking today, we have more trouble in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The third now in line to be governor, Democratic Attorney General Mark Herring, he's dealing with his own devastating scandal that just broke. And earlier today, Herring announced that he, too, appeared in blackface in the 1980s. So that means 2/3 of the Democratic leadership in Virginia have appeared in blackface. And get this, over the weekend, Herring called on Governor Northam to resign over the issue. So the question tonight is, will he do the same? Now, in case you're wondering, the fourth in line to be governor happens to be a Republican, the Speaker of the House of Delegates, Kirk Cox. This could get very interesting. We're going to keep you posted on the dumpster fire that is now the Democratic Party nationally and in Virginia. But first, let's turn to the powerful remarks from President Trump at last night's State of the Union, where he promoted American greatness, urging political cooperation, getting things done, highlighting the people, the principles, the ideals that make this country the greatest place on earth. Take a look.
We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Millions of our fellow citizens are watching us now gathered in this great chamber, hoping that we will govern not as two parties, but as one nation. The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people.
All right, those who saw the speech gave the president extremely high marks. By the way, record-breaking audience last night, breaking his record last year and Obama's. But now Speaker Newt Gingrich, he wrote this, that it was, quote, so effective and powerful that it changed the trajectory of history, and that, quote, the emotions of Tuesday night matched anything President Reagan achieved in his address to Congress. Look at this fake news CNN poll. The American people agree. 76% of viewers gave his speech a positive rating. CBS News poll, 76% of their viewers approved of the president's remarks. The State of the Union, obviously a resounding success and one of the finest moments for the president, or frankly any president for that matter. One of the key reasons, why was this speech so powerful? Well, it's the success that the president has had. There's no shortage of real, substantive accomplishments that he has had in 2 short years. Millions of forgotten men and women. Their lives have been impacted dramatically. 2 years. He's accumulated a track record of achievement unlike anything we have seen in modern history. Record-setting tax cuts, trade deal, energy independence that we never dreamed of, the best in 65 years, regulatory reforms and renewal, prison reform, national security successes in the Middle East, Asia, Latin America, Canada, Mexico, even our European allies. 2 Supreme Court confirmations from a list he promised he would use. An American economy that is booming and breaking records like never before. Now, for many of you, even some conservative friends of mine, doubted, is he really a conservative? Well, he governs as a conservative, and more importantly, unlike a lot of politicians, he keeps his promises. I told you he would deliver on the things he was promising to the country during the campaign. And make no mistake, it will be no different when it comes to the issue of border security. That wall will somehow, I can't tell you today exactly how, it will be built. Now, the consequences of neglecting border security, well, that will be catastrophic for this country. In the past 2 years alone, we have witnessed what is beyond a serious crisis, not what the Democrats or the fake news media tell you, a manufactured one. In the last 2 years alone, ICE officers, brave men and women that serve us every day, have made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults on American citizens, 30,000 sex crimes, 4,000 murders, homicides. Immigration, security officials, they are now pleading for help. They want the strategic border wall built. They want to stop the 90% of heroin coming into this country, other drug trafficking like fentanyl, human trafficking, young girls being sold into prostitution, and other criminal activity. And that's why under the Obama administration, Democrats, well, they didn't call walls immoral. That's why President Obama himself sounded an awful lot like Donald Trump from last night's State of the Union. Amazing. They supported when Obama's president. Obama sounds like Trump, but now they want no part of it. Why? Why would they put their hatred of this president ahead of keeping this country safe and secure? The life and death issue of drugs and opioids and heroin and fentanyl. Watch this.
Tonight, I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border.
We do have to have control of our borders.
Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border.
How do we get control over the border that's become more violent because of the drug trade?
Working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Reduced jobs, lower wages.
They end up being abused, and that depresses the wages of everybody, all Americans.
Former President Barack Hussein, Trump, Obama. If Democrats continue to oppose the border security because of just a pure hatred for Trump, the very things they supported a few short years ago, at some point they bear responsibility. At some point, the death, the destruction, they are responsible because they're now announcing, I'm announcing, and I'm telling them they will become complicit, favoring hating Trump over safety, security, life and death of you, the American people. Trafficking drugs, murder, human trafficking, all because that border is not protected. This should not be a partisan issue. This should be an issue about life and death and protecting the American people. And, well, look at this, CBS News poll. 72% of you, we, the people, favored the president's points and point of view on and his remarks on the issue of immigration. And sadly, despite the overwhelming approval from we, the people, the mainstream hate Trump media singing a much different tune, taking their cues from their friends that sat on their hands last night in the Democratic Party, which is now the party of eliminating ICE and open borders, higher taxes, late-term abortions. Look at CNN Fake News' Van Jones. Wow. What a great description of the speech from him. Take a look.
I saw this as a psychotically incoherent speech with cookies and dog poop.
Cookies and dog food. Wow. Because he works over there and he worked for Obama. Over at Conspiracy TV, MSNBC, delusional Trump hater at this point, Nicole Wallace, had this to say, even before the speech was given. Let's take a look.
I think that this president walks in there and may as well deliver the speech on his knees, because that is where he is politically.
They're losing it. In another shocking display of blatant hate Trump media bias, well, the press overwhelmingly bashing every single solitary part of the president's speech. And while so-called fact checkers, NPR, Politico, elsewhere, desperately trying to nitpick every claim, interjecting their opinions all along the way, well, for organizations that claim to be unbiased and fair, well, this is not a good look. Take a look.
Donald Trump raised to a new level the demagoguery, the hyperbole, the chauvinism, and even the misrepresentation on a lot of the issues.
Graphic language on abortion. Short on substance.
A night of absurdist theater.
As you try to hope for the best, you heard the rhetoric of divisiveness.
The President of the United States at this moment in the world did not mention climate change in even a sentence is just, frankly, a disgrace.
There is nothing that was said last night that is credible, believable, or memorable.
All right, just a typical night. This is just one more clear example. The hate Trump media is an arm of the Democratic Party, basically the propaganda arm. And, of course, one of the leaders, Chucky Schumer, rushed to the microphone early this morning to trash the president's speech. Let's look at what Chucky, by the way, what was Chucky and Nancy standing for? President wanted safety, security for the American people, life and death. Oh, they just stood for opposing him. Take a look.
The president was political, divisive, calculating, even nasty at times. You know, you can't talk about comity and working together and give a speech that is so divisive. That just doesn't fly.
Predictable, sad, but that's who they are. Hate Trump Democrats, they don't seem pleased about anything in last night's speech, no matter how bipartisan. Call for unification, uplifting, make America the greatest, best place ever. President touting historic job numbers. Democrats, 5.3 million, 600,000 in manufacturing. They sit on their hands when they talk about America's energy boom. Democrats scowl. And when he spoke out against socialism, Democrats sneered. And as Congresswoman Liz Cheney pointed out, Democrats had no problem clapping for themselves. It's all about them. Take a look.
We also have more women serving in Congress than at any time before.
Under 8 years of Obama, they never achieved what Trump has achieved in 2 years. Maybe next year they'll also clap for the strong economy, the safety, the security of all Americans. All right, before we get to our guests, we continue our Hannity watch on the deep state tonight with huge breaking news implicating directly now for the third time that's special counsel Robert Mueller, the Hill's John Solomon, who's going to join us. Mueller was hauled in front of the FISA court in the early 2000s to answer for FBI surveillance abuses. Many of them reportedly included omissions of material facts to the secret court. In other words, exculpatory information. As the story explains, former FBI official Tricia Anderson told congressional investigators late last year, quote, "It preceded my time with the FBI, but as I understood it, there was a pattern of some incidents of omissions that were of concern to the FISA court that resulted in the former director Mueller himself actually appearing before the FISA court," and the special counsel is declining to comment. Does that sound familiar? Not disclosing to the FISA court that the dirty dossier that they were told, bought and paid for by Hillary, uncorroborated, put together by a Trump hater, full of Russian lies. They never investigated that. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe testifying they wouldn't have had a FISA application without the dirty dossier. And we have exposed night after night Robert Mueller is on a partisan witch hunt. Look at the team of Democrats he hired. Jeannie Ray donated to Hillary's PAC, but even more importantly, was an attorney for the Clinton Foundation, part of Mueller's team. His pit bull, Andrew Weissman, was at Hillary's election night party, and he has a long record of also withholding exculpatory information and prosecutorial abuses, like in the case of Sidney Powell's book, License to Lie. She'll be here in a moment. And remember, Mueller hired FBI lovers Strzok and Page, and we all know where they stand. They had the insurance policy. They thought Hillary should win $100 million to zero. And, of course, all of this evidence isn't stopping collusion conspiracy theorists like crazy man Adam Schiff, who's now today expanding the scope of the House intelligence probe into President Trump, despite no basis to do so in every aspect of his life. And the president reacted to Shifty Schiff's move, and here's what he said.
I don't know what basis would he do that. He has no basis to do that. He's just a political hack who's trying to build a name for himself, and I think that's fine because that's what they do. But there would be no reason to do that. No other politician has to go through that. It's called presidential harassment, and it's unfortunate, and it really does hurt our country.